Hello students. Today's lesson was on the percent proportion, and I'm just here to give you a little bit more information as to how to solve that. In class we talked about part over whole equals percent over 100, and as we kept working through this we realized that there was some sort of pattern, and there was a pattern that also stated that the part is signified by the word is and the whole by the word of. So this helped us in solving some of our problems. The word what, remember as I was standing with my body and I shrugged my shoulders and put my hands in the air and then I extended my legs, the word what made an X. So if we don't know what it is, that's what we're trying to find, then we know the word of and whatever number follows it, and the word is, what goes with that. What we're trying to do is find a specific number or a percent of a portion of a product. In this case, it says what percent, so we're trying to find a percent. Notice that in every single one of these proportions, it is some fraction equals another fraction, and in every single one, the bottom number is 100. Well, that is due to the fact that every single one of these is a percent, and 100 is the best percent that we can have. So when we do this, in this case, we want to know what percent, so we put in variable, an n. I'd probably just stick with an x myself. X over 100%. I don't know what percent it is. That's what I'm trying to find. What percent of 6 is 3? 3 is the part we're trying to find. I'm going to put that, or 3 is part of that. I'm going to put it on top. And 6 is the whole amount. So this is just how to set up the proportion. So same thing here. What number is 50% of 6? So let's start with the easy part here with the 50%. Percent is always going to go over 100, so that's why we put the 50% here, because it's a percentage over 100. What number is? And that's my big clue here. Again, the what, shrug your shoulders, extend your legs, and you get an X. Is on top of the fraction. Here we don't know what it is, so we have an X. Of goes on the bottom, of 3 on the bottom. Last but not least, what we have here is another example. 3 is 50% of what number? 50% again is the easiest, so we just put it right over 100. 3 is, the is up here is on the top part, the numerator, so I'm going to put 3 on the numerator, and what number goes on the bottom as the denominator. Now we didn't solve any of these, but that's just how to set it up. Is over of equals percent over 100, part over whole. So let's look at a few examples. In this example, I still want to remember is over of, the part over the whole, equals percent over 100. And let's just set that up the best that we can. What percent of $15 is $9? I see the of, 15. I see the is, 9. And I see the what percent. Shrug my shoulders, stand out with my legs, and I get an X. So let's fill it in. What percent? This is a key word right here to tell me I'm going to put it in the percent sign. So I don't know the percent. I'm going to put an X and put that over 100. Is over of. Of is 15. Of is on the bottom. 15 goes on the bottom. Is on top. Is 9. 9 goes on the top. I meant to color code these for you. I apologize. I know that these two equal because that's what it says here. Now in simple mathematics, I would be able to say, oh, 15 times some number equals 100. And whatever I do to the bottom, I would do to the top. But that doesn't work in this case. And we haven't learned one-step equations yet for me to show you the algebraic way to solve these. So what I'm going to do is just give you a little shortcut. What we're going to do is multiply these two numbers together and get 900. And then I'm going to divide it by this number that's left over, by 15. 900 divided by 15. In this case, you could reduce it, or if you just know how to divide, you could divide it as well if you with your long division. I did say that you were able to use a calculator on this assignment because I'm not focusing on what you can compute on your own. I'm focusing on can you set up the problem and get an answer. When I would divide this, however, I know that 15 goes into 90 6 times with a 0, so x would be 60. In this case, it would go over the 100, so it would be 60%. 9 is 60% of 15, and that makes sense. Half of 15 would be 7.5, and this is a little bit more than half, so it makes sense that the percent is a little bit more than half. All right, let's look at another problem. What percent of 25 is 20? What percent of 25 is 20? And again, we're finding what percent. When I look over here at the formula to follow, I'm going to see the percent here. What? I don't know. So I'm going to have x over 100. Then I'm going to look at the word of, and I notice that of is in the denominator part, so I'm going to put 25 in the denominator. And then I also know is the numerator, and the numerator is 20, so I'm going to have a 20 on top. This is one of those problems where I can actually do math the simple way. I know that 25, to get to 100, I multiply by 4. 20 then would be multiplied by 4 because whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. And 20 times 4 is 80. 80%. This makes sense. It's not 100% because it wasn't perfect, but it's pretty close. So 80% seems like a good guess. 25 times 4, 20 times 4. Think about this on a test. If you ever received a 20 out of 25 on a test, you got 80%. All right, let's try another one. This one's set up a little bit differently. I'm still going to use the same formula. Is over of equals percent over 100. When I look here, I see that 12 is. I see what percent, and I have of 50. So what percent is still an x? Percent was on top here, so I'm going to have x over 100. I see that is 12. Is the numerator, so I'll put 12 in the numerator, leaving only one spot left over, but let's just double check. Of is 50. Of is the denominator, so we'll do a 50 here. This is another example where we happen to be lucky because I can just say, all right, from 50 to 100, I can multiply by 2. Whatever I do to the bottom, I need to do to the top. And 12 times 2 is 24, and I would get 24%. Now, just in case the problem isn't that easy, because it's not always, let's pretend that we couldn't do that or we didn't see that. What I would do is look cross from each other and see which of them had something to multiply. 50 times x does not have anything to multiply. 12 times 100 can. 12 times 100 is 1200, and then divide it by 50. 1200 divided by 50 is 24. And then I know it would go in this percent spot right here, so it's 24%, just like we found before. All right. Let's try another kind of a problem. This one says we're going to find the part, but my methods do not change. I'm still going to follow is over of equals percent over 100. I'm still going to look at this problem and say what number is 40% of 120? What number is 40% of 120? Let's start with the easy part, the 40%. I know that's going over the percent sign. I'm sorry, over the 100 because it's a percent. So that goes over the 100 automatically. What number is? I don't know. What? Shrug your shoulders. What number is? X is. So in the numerator part right here, I'm going to put my X. And then of 120. Of, on the denominator, is 120. Some of you might be able to figure something out that you could multiply or divide by in order to get these to reduce to each other or multiply to each other. But if you don't, remember, look across. Is there anything to multiply? This way, there is not. This way, there is. 120 times 40. I'm just trying to do it in my head really quick. So this would be 4,800. Once I'm done multiplying those, then I divide by what's left over. Divide by the 100. And in this case, x equals 48. Well, let's see if that makes sense. 40% is less than 50%. So my answer should be less than half, because 50% would be half. Well, half of 120 would be 60. Is my answer less than half? Sure is. So that's a good choice. A reasonable answer. Let's do it all over again. Is over of equals percent over 100. I encourage you to hit pause and try it yourself, and then when you're done, come back and see how you did. All right, so my number here, what number is 5% of 60? Of 60, 5%, what number is? Let's start with the easy part. The easy part is the 5%. That's going to go over 100. 5 over 100. Of 60. Of is the denominator, so I'm going to put 60 on the bottom. And last but not least, what number is? What number? X is. So on top where the is for the numerator, I'm going to put an X. Again, some of you might be able to figure out a multiplier that would bring you to this number. Otherwise, these two multiply. 60 times 5 is 300. Divide by 100, and I would get 3 for an answer. So X is 3. Again, if you think about that, that makes sense. We haven't talked about how to find mental percents yet, but if we did, I could talk about 10% being 6. And so 5%, half of that would be 3. Hopefully you got the right answer, that X would be 3. Go ahead, hit pause, and try this one on your own as well. Come back when you're done. Is over of equals percent over 100. 12% of 85 is what number? 12% of 85 is what number? Percent over 100, so 12 over 100. 85 of 85 on the bottom. What number? I'm trying to find the part here. What number? X. When I look at these, there's nothing to multiply this way. I don't know a shortcut to go from here to here, so I'm going to multiply this way. 85 times 12. 85 times 12 is 1,020. And then I just divide by this number here. And when I divide by 100, I will get 10.20. Again, feel free to use a calculator, but that is the part that I would get. I have time to show you one more of these. Hopefully you're kind of getting the pattern now. We'll see if we can squeeze in 2 with the time. Is over of equals percent over 100. 18 is 25% of what number? Let's start with the easy part again. 25%, and that goes over 100 because it's a percent. 18 is the numerator, so I'll put 18 in the numerator part. Of what number? What? Shrug your hands, extend your legs, make an X. All right, now when I look to go this way, I don't have 2 things to multiply, but this way I do. 18 times 100 is 1,800. Now I divide by what's left over. I'm going to divide by the 25. Divided by 25. When I divide those, I find out it's 72. So let's see. 25 is part of 100. If I put a 72 on the bottom here, I will have 18 over 72. Does this make sense that 18 is part of 72? That it's smaller? Yes, it sure does. Hopefully this will help you a little bit on your homework tonight. I wish you all the best and success. See you tomorrow in class.